Basketball.
It's time to strap in and get ready. The Insight NBA team is in the arena, bringing you the ultimate play-by-play on who's hot and who's not to help you win your leagues and dominate your mates. You're now hooping with your hosts, Matty G, Skitty, and Mally for the Insight NBA show.
Hey everyone, and welcome to a show run by two Matties tonight. It's an exclusive Matty podcast. I am Matty G at NBA G Wiz, and this is my friend and compatriot in the fantasy arts and black magic voodoo, Mr. Mally. How are you, sir?
Much better since the NBA season started. Things are on the up.
I always worry about you emotionally in the time between NBA seasons because I just know that you're not okay. And it's okay not to be okay because you just love fantasy that much. You were on a romantic anniversary with your lovely wife, messaging me from a beach near Byron Bay, being like, but what about this guy? It was absolute. So what's been for you, I guess? What's been the biggest standout for you to start the season then? Like, what are you loving?
Maybe some of these teams putting it to some of the big teams, some of these winning teams from last year, really struggling to get wins out, looking at teams like Detroit, who have been really close on a couple of occasions, looking at teams like Denver, who we saw struggle again today against a team that by all rights shouldn't be probably winning more than 15 games. So, yeah, that's a bit of fun. That's what you like to see. I mean, the Lakers have been a little bit more steady than I thought, taking their first L the other day against the Suns, but they're off to a nice start.
They're off to a nice start. They had that one. They couldn't put it together, inefficiencies from the field. But it's really rare that you can say that LeBron James cost them the game. Like his inefficiencies there as the starter in that role, considering how good he has been the first three games of the season. One or two more of his shots go in, they win that one. One or two more stops on his end. But he was tired. I think it was it a back-to-back set that they were coming off the night of as well? I know they've had a lot of games very close on. And this one,
I think you're right.
I think it might have been the second night of a back-to-back set. So I get that on the old legs. But Anthony Davis, hasn't he looked every bit possibly like one of the best players in NBA fantasy?
Yeah, he's been an absolute stunner. The only other thing that I've really noted is that some of the teams, or actually a majority of teams, seem to be taking it really easy on their players. Like I think we're going more for a marathon rather than a sprint, which might have been what we've seen in the last few years. Yep. And just easing players back in and taking it easy on their future stars. That's kind of been, well, for a fantasy point of view, it's very upsetting and annoying and frustrating. But from a fan of the NBA, I like it. I like that direction.
The Embiid rule, obviously, that they got fined $100,000 for him just openly coming out and saying, yeah, I'm not going to play back-to-backs, and the NBA scratched their heads. And a measly $100,000 wrist slap for that one. But like we said, we did see the Nuggets in action today. They were on one of our low-volume games. We've just wrapped up Tuesday. We are looking today on that low-volume day into a massive block of games on Wednesday, Mally. We've got 11 there. Then we've got 4 and 9, Thursday, Friday. Saturday is another big one, 10. Not impossible to stream, but it gets more difficult as we see there in the orange. Red tomorrow, because 11, 22 teams make it tough. And then our lowest volume day games in the week on Sunday at 3. If we're looking here at the back-to-backs today, the only one that sits out today, we've got the Warriors and the Nets and the Pels. They all played today. Second half of the back-to-backs here. Do you think some more of these stars get rested? We've seen Herb Jones go out of the lineup today for the New Orleans Pelicans. He'll probably out tomorrow. Where would you be looking for the Pels to get some more burn there?
Well, CJ had a bit of a quiet night, and I can only imagine they're going to need him to go hard tomorrow, and he'll get a run there. It was nice to see Zion come to life a little bit after hopefully just having a bit of a hangover from his sickness to start the season. Brandon Ingram's looked great, and he's obviously going to keep going hard. It's only a matter of time until he hurts himself and out he goes for 5 weeks, because that's kind of how Brandon Ingram do. But yeah,
That is
it'll be
Brandon. That
interesting.
is the
And
full
then
Brandon
Jordan
Ingram
Hawkins.
experience. That's
I
the
don't
full
know what
Brandon Ingram
happened in
experience.
I don't know what happened in your leagues, but Jordan Hawkins was just dumped like 6-period French today, all over the place. He was gone.
I saw him getting absolutely dropped everywhere. And another bloke who I didn't drop, I looked at today, and he did an impressive line. Yeahhh Missy. Now, I love this in his 22 minutes tonight, almost 21 minutes, 49 seconds, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists, but the 2 blocks there, good efficiency. The free throw attempts there, though, that was absolutely shocking. I've only got him, I think I've got him in 2 leagues. I'm going to have to check that. I've got him in 2 leagues, but he was single-handedly responsible on a low-volume day today in the same setup that I've got Lowry marketed, funnily enough. So I've got Lowry, who would usually buoy me from the free throw line. He goes out. We'll get to him in a second. And then Yeahhh just goes one from bloody 5. And it's just like, I just get PTSD from formerly being a Rudy Gobert owner.
Well, that's bad, and I do feel sorry for you, but I don't have a lot of tears to spare, because I am the somewhat proud owner of Anthony Edwards, who went 5 from 10 today. So if you want to talk about getting absolutely flogged in free throws, talk to all the Anthony Edwards supporters. Did I say Edwards or did I say Davis? Anthony.
You
Edwards.
said Edwards. You actually named the right Anthony. It's not like the Jalen's
That's
where it gets
surprising.
very. It's not like the Jalen's where it gets murky. You just throw a Jalen out there, and you do hope that you hit the right one at the end of the head. Like we said, the back-to-backs we've got coming up for today on the back end of that one are the Nets, the Warriors, and the Pels. We are then moving into the first of. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Like we said, it's a big set of games tomorrow. There's 11. But if you happen to have space and roll into that one with the low volume day going in on the Thursday afterwards, there are some teams that can help you out. That is the Clippers, the Grizzlies, and the Spurs. Jay Huff, number 1 in Memphis, is my number 1 ad there. Of all of those guys, Huffaluffagus has to be added.
We like it when a simple white man can get out there and try and do his best in the athletic world of the NBA, and he's been doing not too bad. The guy I picked up, looking at our back-to-backs in just one of my leagues, but I probably pondered having him in a second one, is Derek Jones. He's getting heaps of minutes in the high 30s. He's getting a steal. He might get you a block. He gets you a 3. It might be only score maybe 12, 14 points, but he's just been pretty consistent over their first 3 or 4 outings that they've had so far. So I put a little bit of stock in that, man.
Yeah, and I was just looking at his ownership early on today. He has been picked up in a few leagues, but he's only 11% rostered in Yahoo leagues. He's gone up 3% in the last day. So if you're looking for a pickup, I do think Derek Jones is a notable one. And to be honest, he's been a top 150-ish player. He's getting good points. You look at the free throws for the season, and he's a 500 because he's only taken 2 of them. So he's missed 1 of the 2, but he's getting you a steal a game. The turnovers are a bit concerning, but look, we know that right now it's Norm Powell season. Mr. 0 assists. He's almost like the more experienced, more established Cam Thomas. Never met a shot that he doesn't like.
Yeah, he doesn't have the pizzazz of old Cam, but he does. He's the Timu version, I guess. He's out there. He's getting all the shots that he wants. He has big nights. He has quiet nights. I don't know what we're going to get out of him tomorrow. We have to look at his up and down roller coaster trend. Is he on for a good night or is he on for a poor night?
Look, he's on to have a night where he plays for the Clippers and he is required to do a lot of heavy lifting. And I think that brings us into an interesting one. We're going to play a bit of a game move. Tonight, we've got a brand new segment in this show each week. It's going to be called Yeah, Nah. And Mally, break us down the Yeah, Nah game before we get to that one. Because I've got an interesting spin on Yeah, Nah. I've got a surprise for you because I like to do that. But tell us about You do. Tell us about Yeah, Nah first.
For this week, I've tried to pick a group of players who I think that we would have mostly drafted outside the top 50, who thus far, in very limited data, have found themselves being top 50 guys. And I want to look at the things that they're doing currently, again, early days, 3 or 4 games for most of our players, and see what it is that we think they're going to continue to do. What is this new version of New Year, New Me type deal? And how much of it is just flash in the pan, hot start, wait until the dust settles, and they're going to slide back out to maybe where you pick them up and not be such steals as maybe you thought they were going to be.
So I'll drop like a name out there. For example, I'll go in one which is not on the list that I've liked, and a guy that I picked up in a couple of leagues, and I probably should have been more active in getting, because I thought he had value, was Jalen Suggs, because we always got Jalen Suggs for the defensive specialist he is. The Orlando Magic look great, but we start looking at the Jalen Suggs experience and like, oh, can he continue to average 17 points a night? Yeah. Nah, probably not. It'll probably come down a little bit to like maybe 14 points a night. Will he continue to hit 3.5 threes a game? Like, nah, he's never been that guy. The steals there, 1.8. Yeah. The free throws, the 3.5 attempts a game. Yeah. So I've got to go on a couple of things. Nah, but I still wish that I had a Jalen Suggs archetype. The new improved Alex Caruso, you would argue, in my team. So it's kind of like that exercise, yeah?
And you'd be happy as well. Like, I mean, most of us, if we were looking for that type of player, had the choice between Suggs and Caruso. And I guess if you chose the Caruso path right now, you're feeling pretty happy with yourself. I actually just did a Suggs trade that you can have a listen to right now. So I had Suggs, I had Tobias Harris, and I had Wendell Carter Jr. And I traded them for Bam Adebayo and Bogdanovic, which obviously hasn't done me too well now that he's out for 4 weeks. But I feel like, again, depending on how you see trades, if you're looking for the winner of the trade is the person who gets the best piece, well, then I guess I won, because Bam out of that list is the best piece. I also did it because, as you said, I don't think Suggs will be able to continue doing what he's doing, and I thought that was a nice sell high moment. I think Tobias Harris will be better than what he is, but it's very clear that when I picked him up thinking that he'd be the second option on that team, he's clearly the third. Even if his shots start to go in, I think he'll stay at the third. Obviously, they're giving Ivy some run, and fair enough. And then 100%. With Wendell Carter Jr., he's been hot. He's been a double-double kind of guy, basically 10 and 10 a night. But he's playing 5 or 6 more minutes than he was last season. So I know we're not here to talk about sell high, buy lows tonight, but if we were, I think that's what I went for.
I think it's also a very easy thing to say. It's like we're always talking about it. I think it's something that just permeates the air around fantasy. When you play fantasy, you're always looking to get the best and the worst of trades. You want to make sure that you're getting value. You don't want to be that guy ripping everyone off. But at the same time, you do want to win a trade. So you should always be in the position if someone sends you a trade, just say no immediately, unless you can think that, okay, well, maybe we can work something out, or it's that. So my default position is like, nah. And then I have a think about it and see if it can work for both parties. And something that's working for both parties, 2 guys who I was on, I've done a bit of a mix-up for you on this one, Mally, and it's 2 guys who made your list. And it's literally an ADP battle that I did with Kingy last night on the show, and I thought I'd bring it over from the live to this one. Who are we doing? Are we taking Jordan Poole Party or Cam Choo Thomas the Tank Engine? Are we taking Poole or Thomas? Because these guys have had phenomenal starts to the season.
Shall I start you with some nahs? I'll fire the first one. Let's look at Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole, ranked 6 at the moment, much higher ranking than any time last season, even at the end of the season where he started to come pretty strong. Currently, very limited sample size, but that probably makes the game more fun. 50% from the field, 100% from the line. Nah. I think that's a nice, easy one to start off with.
Okay. Next one I'll give you for the nah for him. 5 threes a game and 3 steals a game.
You didn't or nah me. Where's your or nah? Are you going or nah on that being his outlook?
50% from the field? Nah. 100% from the line? No way. Like, the man hasn't missed. Completely no. Because there's no, I think it's like the 50, 40, 90 club. There's only a limited range of NBA players ever that shoot 50% from the line, 40% from 3, and 90% from the line. I don't think has ever been a player in NBA history, and there could be one guy, and he maybe played 8 games in a row. But let's say that the cutoff is 50 games here. That's shot 50% from the field, 40% from 3, and 100% from the line. But right now, I am pretty sure that his 3-point percentage is ridiculous as well. I'd have to check it out. Like where's his? I'll go into Jordan Poole's 3-point percentage. It is absolutely ridiculous. So I don't think that's sustainable. My big one is the assists. Yeah, I think the 5 or 6 assists a game is completely 100% sustainable. The rebound a game, nah. It's not sustainable. The 1 rebound a game, because he's going to get more. There's just no way that he can just be like, sorry guys, just back away and let me get 1 rebound for the game to keep my average at 1. I keep on looking at the box score, and isn't that the strangest anomaly you've seen?
For the amount of time he's out there too, you're just going to accidentally get some rebounds. Like, you would have to see the ball hit the rim or the backboard and run the opposite direction. Like someone was shelling you on the beaches. Like, you'd see that big pumpkin coming towards you and leg it in the other direction. And not fast break leg it, I mean like panic leg it. And I reckon you're right. All he has to do is outstretch his arms and it's going to go up from 1.
Or not just watch the ball bounce in front of him like I saw the other day, and he actually just watched it go over the silos. They picked it up, be like, no, it's fine. We'll get off the inbounds pass. Like, what are you doing, Jordan Crowd?
True. I didn't actually think of that as a scenario, just letting it like guarding the ball. So bodying out, so you're kind of like a boxing out the other player until the ball goes out and it's your ball, so you can avoid a rebound.
I was like, literally, I watched it go away from him. I'm like, wait a minute. Are you going to grab that ball? Is he doing a little bit of a Porter Jr. from last year and taking the unders on rebounds per game? Because I'm telling you now, I'm going to smash the unders on rebounds per game for Jordan Poole for the immediate future. So I think that is for me. Now, the most impressive thing was that he was the NBA leader in steals per game, 3.5, until Shea overtook him, and then he didn't. He got 3 in the game, but it took him down to 3 overall a game, which is, I don't think that's sustainable. But I actually do see him getting at least 2 steals a game this year, possibly. I think that could be sustainable. You?
Yeah, I was definitely a Nahhh on your 5+3s, 3+ steals. So that was a big Nahhh. But I think the threes, I think he's going to take plenty. I just unfortunately don't think he's going to get 5.3 to land per game. And I think he just looks like a different Jordan Poole this year. And he seems to, it's almost like last year they said, Kuzma, you get this year. Poole, you take a back seat. And then no matter what happens, Poole, you get next year. And we'll see what happens. And it feels like that's what's happened, where Kyle Kuzma, it doesn't look disinterested, but he's definitely letting Jordan Poole be the guy.
100%. 100%. And can I say to that as well, Jordan Poole is averaging 8.7 takes a game from deep. So he's almost at 9 attempts a game. We know that a lot of our starting guards, if you look at where he comes from in the system of like Steve Kerr likes Steph taking 10, 12 a game. So it's not too dissimilar from what he likes to do as a player or what he's historically used to. The gobsmacking thing is, Mally, that the man is averaging, he's a better 3-point shooter than a shooter from the field. It's almost like he's better at shooting deep than layups at this point. He's shooting 615, like 615% from deep. That is ludicrously good and completely unsustainable.
And he loves taking a shot too. I've seen him throw some absolute bricks, and he has no shame. Like he looks just as happy when they go in as when they don't, and that's a worrying thing for a basketball player, when he's just happy to let it go out of his hands. He loves the texture. He loves the feeling of releasing the ball. He likes that letting it roll past the fingertips or something. A bit of a sensory overload for him.
I think that the exact same thing could be said, but probably to a greater extent, as Cam Thomas today, who looks absolutely furious, even when Cam Johnson today was on fire, lighting up that first half versus Denver. Cam Thomas was almost still screaming for the ball, like, "Why did you shoot?" And Cam said, "But it went, but other Cam, it went in." Yeah. And Thomas was like, "I don't care. I don't care."
Yeah,
and
he was just,
more shots. Give me the. It's almost like he's going to turn Super Saiyan, yelling for the ball if he doesn't get it. This one is completely, I think this is everyone's best case scenario for him. Going through your list, 34% usage, that's sustainable for him. A 90% free throw shooter. Ooh, where do you think it lands?
Well, he's a career 85% shooter, so it's not like he's poor at the line. 85 is great. It's never been on really high numbers. This year, I think he's obviously going to get to the line more, just because he's going to take more shots. He's going to get fouled more often. I feel like 85 is reasonable. I feel like 90 is a little bit ambitious because we talked about how difficult it is, obviously, to be 100% shooter. We're not off that, but even 90%, that leaves very little room for error. He also is going to be, I mean, I'm thinking of 2K vibes here, where your player takes that many shots that they get that tired that when they get to the line, you've got to let them breathe for as long as they can in the whatever it is, 8-second
He's got to,
count.
he's got to get his Gatorade boost up. He's got to go and hit the Gatorade gym from 2K. Yeah.
So you've got to wait to that absolute last second. So you've got enough energy to raise your arms up and take the free throw. So I know that that's a fictitious game, but I think they might have something there. So it's a nah for me. How about the 30 points a game? Is that a yeah or nah?
Yeah, that's a yeah for me. Yeah, 30 points a game because who else is scoring this many points apart from Dennis Schroeder? I mean, Cam lit it up today, which was fantastic. But look, it's a schmozzle. The fact that they're competitive, though, and they're really out there trying to play these basketball games is an absolutely credit to them, though. This is not the first good team. So the question is this one. Are the Nets good-ish for a young team and just tanking really hard? Or is Denver now just is actually that bad?
Yeah, I think Denver might be that bad. And I mean, again, small sample size, but they haven't played to go to OT games back against two teams that they should easily beat in regular time is concerning. And it's due to no lack of interest from Jokic. He's still putting up triple doubles and apparently doing everything he can. I can't really put my finger. I wouldn't like to say it's KCP missing. But yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't look right at all, does it?
And Christian Brown looks good. He looks like a good substitute to KCP, to be honest. Like, he looks like he fits the system. He's playing really well. He's trusted. He's playing a lot better in the preseason where his stock dropped off the radar entirely. The Russell Westbrook experience, turning back the clock, 20-plus points today. You're not going to get that out of him every single night, but we don't know what to expect. So they played well. Cam Thomas played well, took some ridiculous shots today. Like, he smoked one in the face of, who was it? He pulled back and they were just, I think it was Michael Porter. Oh, no, it was Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray had his hand right up in the bloke's face and he was walking towards him and pretty much landed on his shoes. And Thomas was like, rah, super saiyaning out. I think the 30 points is absolutely sustainable. The 1.7 steals is not sustainable for him. I think that's come back to earth a little bit after his thing down to 1.3 today. He's less than one a game. So if the bloke even sniffs 0.8, you're kind of laughing, to be honest. But I think the shot attempts are there, plus 20 shots. I think the points are there. And I think the 3 or 4 assists actually might be real, though.
Yeah, and it's worrying that on a quiet night when he doesn't shoot well, he's still going to get you a baseline of 20 points like he did tonight. Like, again, no, it was overtime, but just knowing that when you get this guy out there, you look at 20 points and you're disappointed with that as a game. You know, obviously you can be disappointed about the other things, but when you look at 20 points and you go, oh, come on, Cam, couldn't you have tried a little harder? Like, when half the rest of your team are absolutely maxing out to try and get near that number is pretty unreal. And, you know, he's a 0.5 steals bloke over his career. So I think 1.7 steals is super ambitious. And nobody thinks that he's going to keep doing that. And nobody thought that he could do that when they picked him up, you know, in the 60s, 70s. You just thought that he was going to get a lot of points, and he's getting a lot of points.
The big thing for me was the big tell was about where his ADP data actually finished up. And I had a good look at this last night. And I know that he ended up, let me go by team on this one because I know Brooklyn's up the top. When I ended up having a look at his ADP data, where he ended up, it was very, very surprising to see that Cam Thomas snuck down into the just under 69, bang on Yeahhh, and 63 on Fantrack. So the people that I saw drafting him in analyst leagues were even reaching into like the late 40s, early 50s, and they are repaying that investment. But someone who was slipping in drafts is another bloke we're going to do the Yeahhh experience for. By the way, my vote is for Cam Thomas in the long run because I don't know what's happening in Washington, and I just know that the Nets are going to suck and he's going to get a lot of shots. Who wins your final vote in that ADP battle?
I'm going to go Jordan Poole. I think you're right. The points are obviously going to be won by Cam Thomas. I just think that Poole, he's going back to doing the things that we really hoped he was going to do last year and couldn't pull off. And I just
Or
think
he
he's got a
couldn't
more
pull
well-rounded game.
off.
Yeah, Poole off. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Yep. The ultimate Poole. And then who we got next? Old CJ.
Well, this is CJ McCollum. Let's go. Yeah, no, on CJ. He has just soared up rankings. And this was a bloke who fell. His ADP data was horribly low. It was the DeJounte Murray experience, obviously. Everyone losing faith. The guy is still reasonable. Hasn't been great for a while, but mate, he is flying.
Yeah. And I had him again before today's game where I think he went like 5, 7, and 4 or something.
Yeah.
He was ranked 15th. That's obviously he's going to take a big hit with that. But even after his first 3 games to be ranked 15th is pretty impressive for a guy that, again, you probably took. I mean, in the league that we're in together, I took him. And I think I took him somewhere like wild, like 125 or something like that. I'll have to have a look or get you to have a look.
He fell to
late.
86 overall was his final ADP across most platforms.
Yeah.
So this is a guy that you're taking
later than that.
You did. He was still. I remember him sitting there going like, "Do I want?" I think I'd already got the guard spot filled, and I was like, "Do I want him? But do I just overload?" And I should have said yes, because even after today, I know the Basketball Monster has him now ranked at 26. So this is a guy that you were expending like anywhere between 85 to 100, and he's eclipsed that by 75. Is it sustainable?
And then, like we're isn't it funny too that in one game at the moment, just because we have such a small sample size, that you have an off night and you drop from whatever it was 15th to nearly 30. You've it's almost like he started hitting shots for the other team, like that he was putting numbers on the board for Golden State. And if you look at the end score, you might actually think that, because it's wild that they got trounced by a very undermanned unit over in Golden State. But
they looked they were so fun. I watched that game. They were so fun today. Golden State were good. I'm talking this Pods experience with Lindy Waters and Kevon Looney and Moody and GP locking CJ up, being an absolute pest, was a hell of a game to watch, man.
And it'd be fun to watch them go against New York, like a team that's wildly shallow but very strong starting setup, against the complete opposite, a team that's basically got 3 potential starting units, and just seeing how that goes. But back to old CJ, let's start with the Yeahhs. 35 minutes a night.
Nah.
No. And why?
No Trey Murphy, no Jones now, no DeJounte Murray, quite obviously. It's all downhill for CJ minutes-wise as the season progresses. And I don't know if he's just bundled into a trade package that sees old mate Brendan Ingram get out of there. But for me. 4 threes a game, though. Do you think that's oh, go on.
I'll answer your question, then I'll go back to that. 4 threes a game. I'm going to go and I'm going to go because this is a team where no one else is going to take them, really. I mean, Brendan Ingram's starting to try and do it. Zion doesn't. DeJounte takes more than he should. Their pretend center in Tice, he'll take 1 or 2 or a couple of games just to let them know that the floor can be stretched, but that's about it. So
it's got to be Trey Murphy, and he's not there. Trey Murphy's their guy for that, and he's obviously missing in that lineup. You can see the hole that he has when you watch them.
And I mean, going back to that 35 minutes a night, we saw him start on the first night in the starting unit because there was no Zion. We've seen him start since because there's no DeJounte Murray. Obviously, we've had no Trey in any of those scenarios, so that makes it different too. But if you look at this team and you look at how many games the players within this team played last year, there's a potential he could just wing his way to starting for 65 games this season. Like Trey, he's missed time last year. Zion, he's missed time in his career. Brandon Ingram, he seems to miss half the season, like where he just goes for a week here, a week there. DeJounte, who was probably, inverted commas, the healthiest of the group, he's obviously not impervious to a bit of damage. So if you said that CJ was the 6th man who played more minutes on this team than anybody else, like cumulatively at the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised.
I would argue that CJ McCollum could literally worm his way into 6th Man of the Year award if he comes off the bench as a long time sixth man of this squad when they gets healthy, I would be looking at the betting pool very, very quickly and putting a cheeky 20 on CJ McCollum to win sixth man of the year, because like you're right, you do see him be able to get 4 threes. I think he's going to be a better free throw shooter. He hasn't looked good from the line, and I don't think such a decline. He's usually plus 80% from his career, so I agree with you. 66% is better. He has slumped before, though. He has slumped at times with his free throw shooting. He has slumped, but it hasn't been sustained slumps. Like his career is above that. So even if it's like a 78, whatever, it's still going to be a whole point plus on this one. The 3 steals, not sustainable. But I think 18 points is more the reality at the end of the day. But if you think about it, an 18-point, 5 rebound, 4 assist guy, a steal on good percentages for a team that has a chance of playing really well and deep into the Western Conference, you're looking at a 6th man of the year candidate.
Yeah. And, it makes me wonder, too, where we're talking about him after we've just talked about Cam Thomas. You wonder how many guys could be thrown into Cam Thomas's position. Obviously, CJ's probably too old to be able to do that for an entire game, let alone the entire week, let alone an entire season now. But how many people could be a Cam Thomas had they been put in that exact situation where they're basically being told, you take as many shots as you want and just see what happens. But anyway, we digress. LaVine. 19th. That's already way higher than I thought he would get to, even in these early days.
He it's again a limited sample size. Let me read you through your Nahhs, because I love when you say stays on Bulls was the first one. Nah.
Not exactly a statistic, but that's okay.
It was a statistic. I agree with you. Nah. So I don't see him returning the same one. 35 minutes though on any team. Yeah. Again, we're talking percentages here because we've got to look at percentages as well. It's such a small sample size where they haven't had time to really coop themselves into slumps or those pits right now. So 55%, that's not sustainable. He'll be better than that. Oh, sorry, he'll be worse than that for sure.
It's not a long way, like for a guard who takes a lot of shots and takes a lot of threes, his field goal percentage over the years has always been pretty strong. And a lot of that has been buoyed by his younger days where he was so athletic that he could just wreck the rim whenever he wanted to. So that, and this obviously 3-point taking Zach LaVine that we're seeing nowadays, and the one that's in our recent memory, the one we know, wasn't always the case. Like when he was younger and more athletic, he'd probably do a bit more of what like Jar's doing now, where he'll take a 3, but it wasn't his preferred shot. But obviously as age and time has kind of converted and manipulated it and his game has evolved, he's become this 3-point shooter. But 55%, absolutely not. How about 26% usage?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely sustainable. I think wherever he goes, he's a player that actually naturally gravitates, because he is, like you said, electric. Like we know him as the human highlight film and the dunk contestant, but he has adapted his game over the years. He can stretch the floor. He's exciting. He's dynamic. The funny thing is he's still super quick, but he's not as quick as he was, so he can be explosive. He has a really solid mid-range game. He can stretch the floor a little bit, but I also think that he's actually improved as a playmaker over time. But he doesn't always facilitate that based on his role within a team. I still see him getting usage. I think if Kobe White's not getting the last shot in a possession, it's sure as hell going to be Zach LaVine getting it for like the last 3 seconds. Like, hey, Zach, save us. It'll go over to him really quickly and he'll get that ball and he'll bring it up the court and distribute. But the 4 threes a game, I don't think him getting 4. I think it's going to come back down to 3, 3.2, but I don't see it being 4 forever.
3-3 was my idea. I thought 3-3 was probably attainable, especially on the Bulls. Maybe again, if he gets the move on notice, the eviction notice later on in the season, that might change depending on where he goes. I would assume he'd go to a better team, and that would then make it a worse situation for him in the eyes of fantasy owners. But yeah,
I've got another one at the end of the day with this one. I like Zach LaVine as a player, and we know he's a bit of a distressed asset, despite saying it. So I was really curious by him. My big thing was another distressed asset. So overall, I'm high on Zach LaVine, but I do think it's another. Again, like we don't say it's sell high on Zach LaVine because we don't know what the future holds. We don't know how sustainably healthy he is going to be. So just getting him healthy and playing well, these are the guys that I like to move in my roster pretty quickly. But this bloke, Mally, I love that you included him because when you said, Matty, I don't think there was a guy that anyone would have had in their top 50 here. The only one initially I thought would have been Zach LaVine could have probably gotten top 40 value. I took Darius Garland at 46 in a draft. I was very comfortable doing so because that's where his peak was the year before. Talk us through your Nahhs for Garland because he is currently, he's not even the best Cavalier. He's the third best Cavalier in fantasy right now. And the top two aren't named Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of answers my first Nahhh, is he ending the season? Let's start just with ahead of Donovan Mitchell. Is he going to end the season higher than Donovan Mitchell?
Nah. Yeah, nah.
Well, I mean, Don's look real quiet. It doesn't seem like it'll last because he's kind of their centerpiece. But I feel like Garland, at least when we're looking at Cleveland as an organization, is really the guy that they should be putting their time and effort into. I mean, Donovan's essentially an overglorified journeyman that he's going to, that's probably a very, that felt ugly when it came out. No hate. I love Donovan Mitchell. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's their future. I mean, we didn't even know if he was going to be in the team this year.
The fact that they've retained his services and they've put this together to start the East and looking very comfortable and confident, beating their old demon, the New York Knicks, is a really strong start from the Cavaliers.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the next year now then. 28 minutes with Kenny.
Yeah, I think it is. And I think it's more. I think we see him creeping up to the 30, 34. I know he likes to play a lot of guys. We haven't got Maxi Strus in the lineup right now. We've got to see some more Strus minutes when he comes back in. But I think 28 minutes is definitely happening. And I think there'll be more. I think we could probably see him about 31 at the end of the day, 32 comfortably. And I don't know if that dings his efficiency greatly, Mally, but I think that's sustainable. You agree?
Yeah, I was never in doubt that 28 minutes was sustainable. I just didn't know how much more. You saying 31, I think, is reasonable. But yeah, we know that this year you can see all of that. Especially, it's obviously affected Donovan Mitchell. Just having his playing time down means that he doesn't accumulate the stats that he probably was. Well, not probably, that he was last year under different coaching. So I think this one's an easy Nahhh for me. 5 assists per game, and again, it's a Nahhh in the positive sense that I think that's probably going to look more like 7. 8 would be nice, but 7 would be good.
Very nice. I got him. I drafted him on the expectation of 7.5. So I like you're talking in my ear very softly and nicely.
They're a little bit like Orlando, where their entire starting unit doesn't really have a point guard. Clearly, that is Garland. But we've got Mobley who can pass. We've got Jarrett Allen who can pass. We've got Don Mitchell who can pass. And then we've got mystery insert 4th player here, 5th player here.
Ty Jerome, one of my favorite waiver wire pickups, Ty Jerome, 3.5 assists a game.
I'm even like Karis LeVert when he's out there, he likes a pass. Like, you're not that shocked when you see he's had a 5 assist game. So I think it will go up from 5. So it's a Nahhh, but I don't know by how much. I think 7's reasonable.
I do, and the 1.3 steals a game. I think that's here to stay.
Yeah. I think that might be one of the few stats that we've looked at of the guys we've looked at so far, which just seems absolutely bang on.
The next bloke
up into the season.
I love that, and I love what he's doing right now. Currently, he is 34, the 34th ranked player. Donovan Mitchell is 61. Mobley is 8th. So if you look at this one, look, they're starting like their 5 blokes are all inside the top 100, including Karis LeVert here. This bloke has had. Well, you and I love this. We talked about it in the preseason. Let's skip over Zubac really quickly and just give the man some flowers for being someone who we are absolutely. We're loving this for Ivica Zubac. Like, this is so good.
And he needs to come in a package with Harden. I think, again, the situation and the role that he's playing this year is definitely a lot of hard work on his part, but he's needed Harden. The pick and roll looks so nice. A guy that at the moment is getting close to like a 20 and 20 games, like, that's wild. Like, he's getting all the rebounds he wants. And no one else really wants to take them. Obviously, if the Kawhi comes back, that's going to be impacted. but I don't know how much of what we're seeing will be totally impacted by Kawhi. I think there'll be other guys who obviously take massive hits, like we won't talk about Jones anymore after Kawhi
Yep.
returns. But I think just Zubac, they've seen what he can do now. Like, well, let's go through some of his Yeahhs. Is he going to be the second best player in Los Angeles? Well,
Nah.
not in Los Angeles, on the Clippers. No, you don't reckon?
No, because I think it's number one with the ball are going to be Harden. I think Harden will get better over the course of the season, and I think Kawhi is better than Harden. So for me, I think it pushes him to 3. So it's a default association there. Is he a person I like? Is he a player that I like more than both of them in his current role? Absolutely. But like you said, I think Kawhi dings that a little bit. So for me, it's a nah. Do you think it's a yeah or a nah?
I'd like it to be a yeah, but it's probably going to be a nah. I mean, I don't know how broken Kawhi is going to be back when he gets back. When Kawhi plays, he always just goes back to playing awesome. You know, he's not a guy where you're like, oh no, what happened to Kawhi? You're like, cool, Kawhi's back for 1 week, and I'm getting Kawhi-like numbers, and then he's gone again. So on a per game average, Kawhi's going to be a better player. Obviously, over the course of the duration of the season, you're going to want Zubac because he seems fairly durable. How about my favorite one on the list? Takes a 3. Yeah, nah.
Nah. Nah, he's not stretching the floor anytime soon. Unless there's like an Intuit Dome, like interactive thing in the new thing where if Zubac hits a 3, it starts raining down gold bullion from like Barmer's private fund, like Scrooge McDuck. If he takes one and hits one, if it's like part of the halftime show, I buy it, but I don't think that's it. So I would see it. But my thing is this though, I'll take away the 3 a game, but do we think the less than 1 block a game is a yeah, nah? But because I see him getting more than that, and he's not even averaging a block a game. So I see that as a yeah, nah. I think he'll end up at 1.5 eventually. I think he'll get back to that rim protection. So for me, one of the things that I loved about him isn't happening, and it's not even on your list. And I'm like, the most glaring thing for him here right now is where's the blocks?
Yeah, and he's never been an extremely impressive blocks guy, but I think he's definitely going to get more than that. I mean, there's been maybe some of the blocks that he's supposed to be getting have been absorbed into Jalen Duren, because that's one thing that Jalen Duren's been doing, which we haven't really seen him do before. He started doing it in the preseason. I was like, nah, that's just preseason. But I know we're not talking about him, but, you know, if we're talking about where the blocks are going, because apparently if I know anything about the NBA, it's that there's only a certain amount of a statistic. So there is only this many blocks that can be had, and it has to be shared out. And obviously you have to rob Peter to pay Paul, and they took away maybe one from Zubac and said, here you go, Duren, have a block.
And I think he also took away some of his good shooting to start with, because just as we were giving him plaudits for being able to be a good free throw shooter, his average back down to 3 a game. He's hitting 583 when he could have been plus 700, and we were looking good. So it's a little bit icky for those boys, but I'm with you on that one. This guy is a perennial love him or hate him guy. I loved him. I traded for him. I lost out on a trade with him. I want to trade with him. I never know my feelings about Jalen Green, apart from I want good things for the man. This is your nah list. He's currently the 44th ranked player, Mally. 43% field goal percentage. Yeah, nah.
It's a nah. Nah, it's definitely going to sink lower than that, and that's worrying because it's not like he's a 60% shooter, and we're like absolutely not. But even 43, like I think he won't be too much lower than that. It can't really go too much lower than that and still get a starting role. But even 43 sounds ambitious. I got to admit, with Green, he's probably the one player I can think that I wanted, and again, I think I put a lot of it down to being a Houston fan. You know, Houston and San Antonio are my guys. So I've enjoyed watching their 2 games that they've been able to play each other against in this early part of the season. He was one of the guys that I was definitely impacted by other people's opinions of him, where I heard so much naysaying and like, no, it'd be stupid to take him at 80 kind of thing. And I was like, oh, you know how early I had him on in the early days. I didn't have him at 44th ranked. But remember, early in the piece, I was like, yeah, this is the guy. And I can't believe that I and again, I don't think he's going to stay 44th, but I think he's going to be better than 80. And I've got to admit, hand on heart, that I probably let other people's opinions sway my own too much, and maybe that might be regrettable for me.
I'm with you because I did the same thing, and you and I, we think very similar sometimes about similar guys, and then we don't. Jalen Green is someone who I openly pursue to try and get trades for, and then we didn't, and then I got him, and then I lost it out very narrowly. His free throw percentage stunk up for me. Like, that was the thing that I really just couldn't abide. But getting 6 attempts a game now, being plus 800, I'm like, geez, he's got the free throws now. Oh, he's got the free throws. I can take the turnovers, but why did you have to make Jalen Green have to be able to be a good friend? I was just like banging my head watching it. And I don't know if that's for me, the 830 is the thing I don't know is sustainable. And bloody hell, it breaks my heart that this guy was going around like the late 80s. I've seen people jump into the 60s for him in one draft. I was like, geez, that's early. Like I think we were on you and I did a show, right? When we were in a draft and some guy is taking him 60 something. We're like,
I don't recall.
Geez, that's early.
Even you and I thought we should pump the brakes on that. But yeah, I think I've gone a year on averages 2 turnovers, but that doesn't seem to make sense with a 32% usage. So that's a lot of usage to have that many, to have that lower turnovers. Like maybe that'll change a little bit. The other one that I've got on here is he going to finish as the highest ranked Rocket? Yeah, nah.
Nah. I still do think, and it's very narrow. Fred VanVleet hasn't had the efficiency. I think, like you said, there's only so much of one statistic one person can have. I think Jalen Green is being like a field goal percentage vampire and just going and sucking some of the positive from Fred VanVleet away, because Fred VanVleet being 340 from the field, I don't see that being sustainable for long. And I see him jump, and he's already the 57th best player at a 340. And he's on 15 points. If that goes up and he starts getting up to that 18, 19 on what he's doing, and those assists top 7, then Fred VanVleet easily moves into that. Şengün's similar. I don't think anyone else is getting close to that at all in that squad. And that sucks if you're a Jabari Smith Jr. owner.
It's got to be Şengün, and it's got to be Fred VanVleet. But Şengün had that one gigantic game, and then he's been kind of quiet. He got limited minutes in the second game? Oh, no, the first game against the Spurs when they lost.
Oh, no, it was the first Spurs one,
Yeah, when he was getting towed by Wemby, and they had to put Dylan Brooks on Wemby, which actually, to be fair, kind of slowed him down a little bit. But
man's a menace.
I mean, you can't blame the slower start to the season that Fred VanVleet has had on Jalen Green, because the two things that he's missing, Fred VanVleet, are the blocks and the assists, the two things that make him so strong. The blocks haven't come yet. The assists have been weirdly low, and you can't put that on Green. I mean, what is he averaging, like 3 assists or something?
Jalen Green's averaging 3.8. Yeah, he's averaging nearly 3.8. Yeah, sorry, nearly 4. Okay. Fred VanVleet's at 6.3. Jalen Green is at 3. But it's the free throw. It's the things around him. The team isn't making shots. You start to go through the numbers. These guys are mostly sub 400, apart from Tara Eason, who's at plus 500. No one in the top 200 players on the Houston Rockets is a plus 500 from the field guy, plus 400 from the field guy, apart from Jalen Green. Like, they're just not knocking down shots. And they're there. And you see Fred VanVleet pass an open looks to Jabari Smith Jr. and even bloody old mate Jalen Green. They're not going in. So I see that changing and them retaining more value in the long run. And before we do finish, though, let me talk value and thank our good friends, the Standard Squeeze. I know that you've got some gear. Has your sleeveless shirt arrived, Mally? My new shirt with sleeves arrived in the mail, by the way. So that you just check that mailbox and use promo code IFS15 if you need to get 15% off all your 4-1 or your gear.
My daughter has taken a liking to the sky blue 4-in-1 cup. She's loving it. The straw, she's got a metal straw. It fits in the little seal part at the top. She loves it, mate. So there's not a chance I'm going to get to use it. I don't drink anything anyway, only water. And I'm a boring fellow when it goes to putting liquids in my body. But
you can drink water from it too. That's beautiful. You know what?
Not if I can't get it off her.
You've got 2 girls, don't you, Mally?
I do, mate. That's why I look so tired.
It's that in education. Am I right? You know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna reach out to Ash and get a couple of cute pink ones up there. Do the girls like pink?
Beautiful.
Not to associate color. Do they like the pink?
Yeah, mate. They like free stuff. They like their dad.
They're like their dad. Look, we'll get them on up there, and we'll make sure that you get onto all things. But Insight, make sure you like and subscribe to all things at live_my_fantasy. I am at MBAGWiz, and we are Insight. You can catch us at Insight FS. Make sure you, before you do anything else, you like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, boom, down below, and we'll catch you soon, guys. Take care.